Welcome to night 3. We're officially on week 2. So after tonight and Wednesday, we'll be halfway through the course, which is always crazy to me. It flies by. I hope everyone had a fantastic weekend. A couple things on tonight. My car broke down and it's currently in the shop, and my wife's at her parents. So I have to leave here at 8 to go pick her up. So I'm going to try to kind of sprint through the first section. I want to make sure I at least have a little bit of time to get you guys started on the homework, but I'm not going to have the normal hour here to help you guys out. So good news is you guys all get to leave early. Bad news is there won't be as much time. I will be available, obviously, for half an hour before on Wednesday if you have questions, or if you just want to Slack me on Tuesday, tomorrow, with any questions that you have as well. I'll actually be available tonight via Slack as well, too, if you guys have questions. So apologies. This will be the only time only time I have to leave early this little semester. But we are going to skip the homework assignment tonight so that we can need a little bit more hands-on time. But thank you guys, everyone that sent that did. I went through all of them. Everyone's looked great. And we'll just keep kind of building on that and rocking and rolling. So, oh, there you are, Tammy. I was getting worried for a second.
No, I had to do it from home. You know, I'm challenged with this technology.
No worries at all. You look and sound great, so appreciate you joining.
Yeah.
All right. I was just saying I'm going to have to dip out a little bit early tonight. So we're going to skip the homework section and try to blaze through the lesson.
Okay.
I'll be available later tonight via Slack anytime tomorrow. And obviously, if you guys have questions, you can come in early for office hours on Wednesday. So apologies again there. All right. Night 3. So we went through the 3 basic charts last Wednesday: bar chart, line chart, and scatter plot. Tonight, we're going to go wide on another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different types of charts you can use in Tableau. So we're going to cover a real basic text table, how to spice that up a little bit with a highlight table, some heat maps. My absolute favorite chart, the dual axis chart. I use this all the time. Tree maps, Gantt charts, and pie charts. And then if we have a little extra time, I'll show you guys how to make a donut chart in Tableau. So let's go ahead and get into it. In case you guys were worried about me, I've already clicked start stream, so I'm all over it. So we're going to skip the homework. I'm sure you guys were super looking forward to that. These first 4 that we're going to walk through, this was actually an add-on from last semester. Text table, highlight table, heat maps, dual axis chart. We're going to go through these 4 first. This is a really logical progression that you'll use when you're kind of doing your exploratory data analysis. So we'll go through those. We'll take a quick little break. The last 3 are more kind of ad hoc that you use every once in a blue moon. For instance, I think Gantt charts that I actually had to practice during the day. Today I remembered I was teaching these tonight. I'm like, I haven't used those since a year, last time I taught them. So I brushed up on that. So hopefully we're good to go. But same sort of thing, additional repetitions, additional functionality in Tableau. The more and more you use it, the more and more you get used to it. But I did kind of want to caveat that it's going to be 2 kind of very different sections for tonight. And then I referenced this last week. Already talked through all that. This concept of Jacob's Law. Let me actually turn the lights on here. The text can be kind of hard to see sometimes. Sorry, people that are remote. I just tossed you guys on mute just for a second. There's some background noise, but if you need to say anything, just unmute and cut me off. So Jacob's Law is this concept that users spend most of their time on other sites. That means that they prefer your site to work the same way as all the other sites they already know. So I stole from this link that I referenced. It's called The Laws of UX. Let me actually pull this up real quick. This is actually kind of a web designer's Bible. So as people are building out different websites, there's these basic laws of UX, which stands for user experience, that they try to abide by. So that's where I stole it from. Users transfer expectations they have built around one familiar product that appears similar. By leveraging existing mental models, we can create superior user experience that users can focus on the task rather than learning new models. And we're making changes, minimize discord by empowering users to continue using a familiar version for a long time. This is the concept of like when you open an app, you download a new app for the first time. They don't want you to have to try to learn how to use that app. They expect you to have the menu in the top right. They expect you to have a little picture of a user in the bottom right where you can click in to like get to your account. You don't want to be searching around for that. There's actually a lot of things that we can take away from how people build websites for how to build really, really good data visualizations. So the guy that taught this class before me, when I was prepping for this class when I first started teaching it 3 or 4 years ago, he actually did a full lesson on every single one of these laws of UX. He was also a very experienced web designer, which I am not. But there's some good stuff. I'll toss this in the Slack channel if you guys are interested in how to make your charts a little bit more user-friendly and a little better designed. But the reason I wanted to cover Jacob's Law specifically is some of the charts that we are going to build tonight definitely do not follow the principles of Jacob's Law. They are charts that people are not used to seeing. They are a little hard to understand at first, and they take a little bit of getting used to. We're going to learn them because I'm trying to make you guys really, really robust data visualization specialists and understand the use cases for different types of charts for different reasons, get more familiar with Tableau. There's a lot of good reasons to learn why to use them. I just wanted to caveat that. So as we're going through it, if you guys are thinking this is a really, really ugly chart, I would never use that. That's good. That's good that you recognize that. We want to build simple, beautiful, easy to understand charts, not complicated, convoluted, hard to understand charts. So if you guys want to do some extra learning, I will link this in the Slack channel. I will also link, I fall 2025. I referenced this a few times. Every single class that we teach gets put onto YouTube, and you guys can reference it for the rest of eternity. I did. Thank you for reminding me. This is the professor that taught this class before me. That, like I said, does a full 3-hour long section over those different laws of UX. So again, not necessarily my cup of tea, but useful information. If you guys want some extra learning, check out those 2 links. Any questions there? Cool. All right, so let me just go through these real quick and then we'll start building them. This is a text table. Pros of text tables. They're a format everyone's familiar with. I think, Simone, you had brought this up, like you build a ton of Excel stuff. That's not bad. That's actually a good thing. You can see details. You don't have to hover. You can just see exactly what everything is. Cons of a text table. You can really only show one measure and one dimension at a time. Here, I guess we have 2 different dimensions, but only one measure. We're showing profits by subcategory and region. And it's really difficult to spot trends, right? If I'm just looking at this chart, I see, let's see, 11,000 maybe the most. Nope, here's a 16, here's a 17, here's a 19,000. So you kind of got to go through the whole thing to see the big 19,000 one. As far as like individual categories, it looks like copiers is all positive. Looks like fasteners are 0, but you don't really have anything jumping off to you like you would a bar chart, like this one's super high, this one's super small. So those are kind of the pros and cons of there. If we go to the next one, which I actually really like, is a highlight table. Pros here, again, format everyone's familiar with. It's still just that table. You can still see the details without having to hover over it. But now you can also spot trends really easily. So immediately, the first thing that jump off, which I didn't even call out on the first slide, tables is by far our least profitable subcategories, specifically tables in the East. I can easily see that 19,000 now. Looks like bookcases are generally pretty bad. Machines are generally pretty bad. Tables are super bad, except for in the West. So it just pops a little bit more. The only real con here is that, again, you can only show one measure. So here we're just showing profits. We're showing 2 dimensions still, subcategory, and it's not category and subcategory, stupid Charlie. It's region and subcategory. Okay. So those 2 kind of make sense. I like the highlight table. The next one here, which definitely goes against Jacob's law, so I wouldn't show it to people, but could be really useful for yourself if you're doing the exploratory data analysis. Remember, the EDA is the conversation between you and the data. The data viz is the conversation between the data and your audience. So this would be beneficial for the first part of that. And it's called a heat map. So the cons of this, obviously, this is not a format people are familiar with. It kind of looks like an abstract art exhibit you'd see down at the Joslin. And you can't necessarily see the details without hovering. So I could hover over all these boxes and see the details. But what's cool is that I can now show multiple measures. So here, the size of each one of my boxes is the total sales that I've done. And the color of the box is the total profit that I've done. So now I can go in and, copiers was one where we had a ton of profit. So you can see that actually doesn't make up a whole lot of our sales. Whereas chairs is probably the biggest amount of sales that we have, but not quite as profitable. Fasteners, which was another one that we looked at the previous one that was like zeros. Well, we don't really do a whole lot of sales or profit because you have these tiny little dots all the way across here. So then what I think is the best of both worlds, and again, we'll cover this real quickly, then we'll actually get hands-on and start building these out, is what's called a dual axis chart. So a dual axis chart, you can show multiple measures and multiple dimensions. You can easily spot trends. It's still a format that people are familiar with. The only con is you can't necessarily see the details without hovering. You could label it if you wanted to, and that would solve that problem. So here my bars are my different sales. You see they're gray, sales is gray. My profits are this little green line down at the bottom. So I'm actually showing two different charts right on top of each other. I can easily see, okay, I do a ton of sales in my technology category over here with phones. They're decently profitable too. It looks like they're the third highest one. Copiers are actually the most profitable. I do an average amount of sales there. So when I was on this very first slide here, where I was talking about this logical progression you'll use all the time, these kind of four charts is how I start most of my exploratory data analysis. First, let's just build a table. Let's get the data on the page and understand kind of what we're working with here. Then let's toss the color on there to see what sort of pops and stands out to me. Then let's bring in another measure to see if sales, for instance, one of those things that's popping out is correlated to profits or where the ebbs and flows there may be. And then when I'm actually ready to have my findings and publish it to an audience, that's when I switch over to kind of this dual axis chart. What questions do you guys have or thoughts? What do you like? What do you not like?
So with all of the tables, or when you're trying to pick, or actually, let me start again. All of the tables we've done so far have been automatic data, right? The type has been set to automatic.
Yeah.
I know that there's a drop down where you can select the chart, but how do you make it so that if it's on automatic, depending on where the data goes, it will build that kind of table? Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense, and we'll cover that next. We'll actually open this up.
Got it.
Because
Okay.
I know what you're referring to, but I'll actually show you
Because I
guys
struggled with it when I was doing my homework from last week.
Yeah, how do you switch it from a bar to a line to text as opposed to just the
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll go through that. All right. Well, PowerPoints are boring, so let's actually open up Tableau Public and let's actually start building these. So night 3, I'm not sure if you guys will be tired of doing this yet, but we'll get there. Open up Tableau Public. At this point, you guys should have a few different homework assignments that are kind of popping up in this middle here. But either way, we're going to click on Microsoft Excel. We're going to click on our Superstore data. We're going to drag orders over here. Then we're going to click into sheet 1. While you guys are getting that set up, I'm going to go grab a LaCroix real quick and give everyone some time to get Tableau Public opened and ready to go. Then we'll jump in. I'll be right back.
Molly, so what was it after we opened?
It's probably
Oh, I went there, but I was like, no, I think that's where he went.
no worries. Yeah, everyone's saved in a little different spot, so.
And then I'll try again.
Yep. And people virtually, I'll just kind of assume you guys, no news is good news, but obviously unmute and give me a shout if you run into any issues.
So, sorry, can you hear me? Comms check.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah, I just wanted to say so when you use text tables, is it a part of that exploratory data analysis? Like we're starting from there and then we're building up?
Yeah, I'd say they're probably the most versatile type of chart that we'll build. They're also obviously the most boring. I always like to start with them because it very clearly I can just see exactly what the data looks like on the page, regardless if I'm doing EDA or if I'm building a viz. But there's different use cases for each.
Okay.
You good, Tammy?
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
I
Okay.
have the backups just like it. So back up.
Yeah, no worries. Love that you're taking notes. Okay, so we're going to start with just the real basic text table. So we're going to bring region onto our columns. And let's bring subcategory onto our rows. And then we're just going to drag sales onto text here. Now, if I back up real quick, you guys can keep it here. But I get this question a lot. People will ask, "Hey, I'll just see an ABC on my view here. I'm not seeing any data. What's going on? Is it broken?" Tableau will always just put ABC in there as kind of a placeholder. So if you're seeing that, that just means that there is no data to show on the view right now, right? We have our columns, which is our region, central, east, southwest, our subcategory, which is our rows, accessories, appliances, art, so on and so forth. But we're not actually showing a measure. So it's just putting ABC in there as a placeholder. However,
Sorry, what was the third one you pulled over?
Sales. I dragged sales onto text.
Sales onto text. Thank you.
Everyone have this right now? Good to go. Some head nods.
Yes.
Perfect. Now, as always, we start basic, then we learn a couple more advanced things. Right now, I think this is a little busy, right? If I'm showing the total sales, do I really care that there's 43,819 versus 10,899? Or do I just care that, this is 43,000, 44,000, this is 10,000, 11,000? Depends on the use case, right? Sometimes you're going to want to show that detail. For something in the tens or hundreds of thousands or like the millions, I typically will try to round down and just kind of show the significant figures, the things that I really care about, 96,000, 43,000, so on and so forth. Also, I want to show that this is sales as in dollars, right? This isn't total orders. This is actually sales as in dollars. There's a difference, right? We could look at the total quantity that we have. That would be the total number of things that we ordered. But I want to show that this is like very clearly dollars. So I'm going to do a couple things here. One is I'm going to add a $sign to each one of these to clearly show this is the total dollars that we've made from our sales, not the number of sales that we've made. And two, I'm going to round it down a little bit so we're not showing all the way out to the ones. Probably round it to maybe the thousands and 1 decimal point or something like that. So to do that, I'm going to go over to sales, right? You can see right now, Tableau automatically knows this is a number, but obviously in our data, well, not obviously, but in our data, if we look over here, it doesn't have like profit, discount, sales. It doesn't have a $sign here. So Tableau doesn't know that this is dollars automatically. So we have to tell it. We have to actually tell it what type of data point this is. So if I click on this little arrow key by sales, this little drop down, and I go to default properties, you can see you can leave some comments, you can change the color, you can change the aggregations. I'm just going to change the number format. I'm changing how I want that number formatted. When I click that, it will give us this fancy little thing of like, hey, you want automatic? Do you want a standard number? Do you want to customize that number a little bit? Or do you want a standard currency? Or do you want to customize that currency a little bit? If I just wanted standard currency, that would be totally fine. If I hit OK, that would give me my $sign, and it would add my decimal with my cents as well too. That's all fine and dandy. So that gives us the first part. But remember, I wanted to actually round it as well. So if I hit that drop down again, default properties, number format, I'm going to go to currency in parentheses custom. Now I can change my decimal points. I said I wanted 1, and I can change my display units to be thousands. Obviously, if these were in the millions, I wanted to round to the millions, I would do that. If it was in the billions, I could do that. But since most of these are in the thousands, I'm just going to choose thousands with 1 decimal point. Now, if I hit OK, voila, here's my pretty clean table. That goes to 96.3 thousand. This goes to 43.8 thousand, so on and so forth. So again, if this was a case where you really cared exactly how many dollars that you had made, you wouldn't want to round it to the thousands. But since there's a big enough spread here where really you're just trying to show this is, twice as big as that. This is kind of somewhere in the middle.
What did you click to get there?
Yep. So anytime you want to change the actual kind of format of any of these data points, you'll go over to the left where your data is. You'll click that drop down, and you're going to change the default properties. In here, there's a few different options. We're going to change how the number is formatted by going currency custom, 1 decimal point, display unit thousands. I'll leave this page up for a bit in case anyone is catching up. Any other questions here?
So category typing, which one was it?
Oh yeah, all properties. Wait, oh no, not for subcategory. You get there, you're gonna want to go for sales. Custom. Yep. Okay, any other questions? Now, there'll be times in the future where maybe you're going to want to change, like for instance, we were just looking at our discount. If we go back to here, you can see our discount is 0.0000.45, right? In the future, we may want to display that as a percentage, right? This is a 45% discount as opposed to saying it's a 0.45 discount. That would be, we're not going to do it right now. But just so you guys know, that would be, again, we're going to change the default property. We're going to change how that number is formatted. And we'd be able to go in here and click percentage and change it that way too. So we won't do that yet. But let's go ahead and call this one. Let's rename our sheet and call it total sales by region and subcategory. I referenced this last week on Wednesday, I think, but just so this is like a good use case. So I'll show you guys what I mean. Again, my display is like super zoomed in because I'm on the TV. But let's say I thought this was a little too crowded and I wanted to take up the use of all this white space that I have over here. Remember up top, we can change this to fit width and it will make it fit the long ways, the width. Let's say I didn't like scrolling. I wanted everything to be showed all at once. Then I can do entire view, and that's going to bring that up a little bit and take up the entire view. Obviously, if I did fit height, I wouldn't have to scroll, but I'd have this white space over here. So again, I'm not sure how yours looked on your screens, but this entire view, I think, is kind of a better view of what we're looking at there. All right, fun little tip and trick here. We're going to get ready to build our what do I call it? A color table, highlight table. Sorry, I had a brain fart there. So it's going to be pretty much exactly like this. We're going to have region on the columns, subcategories on the rows. We're going to be showing sales. We're just going to bring in the color. Anytime that you're going to be building off of a chart and don't want to start from scratch, right? Up until this point, we would have clicked new worksheet and we would have dragged all our stuff over all over again. If you're going to be building off something that's already pretty much made, there's this cool little button up here that duplicates it into a new sheet. So if I click this, voila, I automatically have a new sheet that's exactly the same. It's just titled 2, right? It's exactly the same. So if I were to rename this, maybe instead of saying in parentheses 2, I'll say like highlight, just to call out that it's a little different. But I use this all the time, especially if you're trying to, maybe instead of wanting a filter or wanting like 5 different charts all on a dashboard, you want to show slightly different things. I'll just duplicate, and make a whole lot that kind of look exactly the same. So fun little button, saves you some time. Does everyone have the duplicated version now? It should be exactly the same. Thank you. Region on columns, subcategory on rows, sales on text. Now, all we're going to do for the highlight table here is we are going to color the boxes to also the sum of sales. So does anyone want to take a guess how we would do that?
Sum of sales and drag it up to color?
Bingo. So we're going to take
I
the...
don't have an advantage because I did this before. I promise.
We're going to take the sum of sales, right? We're going to drag our sales onto the color here. Now, this does not look like the highlight table that we showed before, and it's actually going to lead really nicely into, I can't remember who asked the question. Sorry if I don't have my StreamYard up. I can't see who's talking. I haven't memorized all your voices yet. But someone asked, how do we change the chart type? By default here, you can see it's text automatic. And so automatically it's showing the text and coloring the text. But remember, the highlight table that we're trying to make looks something like this, which is not what we're showing here. So what we are actually going to do, and what this text table is showing, is there's actually boxes or bars or whatever you want to call it in the background that are that color. And then we're labeling those boxes with the text. So we're going to change this from being automatic text to, let's just do a square. I think really any of these work. But now it's going to show a square and color that square with the sum of sales. And then on the label, we still have our text, which is labeling each individual square. So let's actually just play around a little bit. If I chose a bar, that doesn't really work. Area, that looks lame. So I guess it does, circle might work. Yeah.
If I need to ask.
Yeah.
How would you get the second sum of sales in color?
Oh, perfect. All you have to do is just drag it up to color.
My first was stated, then I was like,
Yeah, no worries. Now, we've covered this a couple different times before, but obviously this Tableau blue is kind of the default color there. You can change that if you want. Remember, by clicking color and clicking edit colors. So maybe you really like a purple color, right? You could do that and it could change, update to purple. What I see people do sometimes that I really like is go to this bottom one, this temperature diverging. Actually, that's not the one I want. Go to where to be red, green diverging. Yeah, there we go. Where the lower numbers are red, the top number is green. So this would be like a good versus bad, which stands out a little bit more here. So our really high numbers are going to be green for good. Our really bad numbers are going to be red for bad. The one I was actually referencing, this bottom one here, is kind of nice because it has yellow in there too. So if you apply that, now you have kind of this green and red. But what I don't like about it is the red is good and the green is bad. There's this little button here where you can click reversed, which will switch the colors. So now red's bad, green's good. It could look like this. The point is you can make your color really anything you want. I'm going to keep it with that automatic Tableau for now. But again, if you want to edit that, all you have to do is click into color and click edit colors. Then here's your drop down. Ooh, this gold purple looks kind of pretty. Let's do that. And again, if you want to switch it, so you want gold to be good, because gold, a lot of money, a lot of sales, you just click that reversed button.
Oh, so I'm clicking into color, I'm clicking into edit colors,
Mhm.
and then
It's just this drop down right here.
selection.
Any questions on this?
Yes.
Yes.
How would you add the numbers again?
So you should have sum of sales on color. Yep. So now you just need sum of sales also on text.
Text.
Okay. Now the next thing we're going to make is our heat map. So again, the general format is going to be the same, where we're going to have regions across the top. We're going to have our subcategories along the side. You can see our sales are going to be the size of each square, and the profits are going to be the color of each square. So let's go ahead, since we're not going to start from scratch, or we don't need to, everything's going to be pretty much the same. Let's go ahead and duplicate this. Again, it's this button right here, duplicate. And let's rename this to total sales. Whoops. And profit by region and subcategory. So I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes. I'm going to keep this up so you can kind of see what we're trying to make. I'll even make it full screen. I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to see if you can make this on your own. We're going to want the sales to be the size of the squares. We want the profits to be the color. And we don't have any labels or text on here. So we're going to take a couple minutes playing around, seeing if you can figure it out. And then I'll jump back in a couple minutes and walk you guys through how I would make it.
Sales to be the color and what else?
Sales to be the size
Sales to be the size.
and profits to be the color.
Not with your information, but with our information that you just used. Like it's still subcategory and region or?
Yep.
Okay. So like it won't look like yours because it look like that?
So here you're going to want your region across the top and your subcategory across the side. So region should be on columns.
Like that?
Yeah. Now, how do you get it to take up the full screen? Do you remember how to do that?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Like that?
There you go. Looks good. I'll give everyone just a couple more moments.
And this does not automatically save. We would have to save it.
Correct. Yep. Good question. If you guys are done and are just waiting, this is not a bad time to go ahead and click save. Label it, night 3 in class example or something like that. And you can keep saving as we go.
I have a question.
Yep.
So obviously we're creating this ourselves, but is there a way to just automatically create a heat map, like using not pick me, sorry, show me.
Show me. Yes, I think so, actually. Yeah, right here. I'll do that in a second.
That's how I did it. How did other people do it?
Okay.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Show me is my biggest friend in the entire world. Even if I know how to make certain charts, it just saves you some time if you know you already have your data on here, especially stuff like this where we're kind of using the same data and just changing the layout and want to see what some different things look like. So yeah, definitely feel free to play around with that. I'm going to show you guys both ways how to make it right now. First, the manual way, then I'll show you the show me as well. So if you're not caught up yet or don't have it done, that's totally fine. Obviously, we're going to keep region and subcategory on our columns and rows. We're going to get rid of our text because, again, on this example, there was no text. Sum of sales, I'm going to want as my size, I think. Yep. So I'm going to drag this just off. If I just drag this onto size, it'll update there. So now I have my sum of sales by my size. And now I'm just going to drag my profit onto my sum of sales. Now mine looks really tiny because this formatting's dumb. If I move some stuff around on here.
So you drag the profit onto color?
Yep. And this still looks really ugly maybe if I go full screen. Oh, I remember what I did. So again, the formatting here is ugly because I'm on the TV, but I think these squares are a little small. So just like how you can edit your color once you have something on there, right? By hitting edit color. You can also edit your size, even though you have something on there. So this is just a little drag like slider. You can click into that if I want to make these a little bit bigger. Obviously, if I go too big, they start overlapping with each other. But I think the first little squares they gave me were a little too small, so I dragged that up a little bit. Drag these back on the left too, so it kind of looks the same.
Have you ever used this chart for your work and people liked it?
Nope, I've never published this chart. I've used it for myself
Okay.
when I'm trying to spot trends.
And you wouldn't want to label these, but you can just see it when you hover.
Yeah, exactly. So if I wanted to see the actual data, you can hover and it shows our actual data. This is like the Superstore data is the gold standard for Tableau practice because it's perfect data and there's only a few different dimensions and measures to work with. So even though it's only night 3, all of us kind of know at this point for sure what sales and profit are. I don't think we've used quantity and discount are, but you can kind of make sense of what those are. Like the dimensions are all pretty straightforward too. But imagine you're given a table that has like 100 columns and it's data that you've never worked with before, and you're just trying to get up to speed really quickly with what sort of trends are in there. This is a perfect chart for that because you can drag, let's see what discount and sales look like. Where are the different trends there? Let's drag quantity and discounts. So maybe as people order more stuff, you can start offering different discounts, things like that. So it's a good chart for kind of exploratory data analysis where you're really just trying to get used to what the data is. But in this example, it's obviously pretty trivial because it's not that complicated with data. But no, I don't think I've ever built one of these and published it. If I
Just
did.
can't imagine somebody actually being able to really
Exactly.
benefit from this.
Now someone asked the question, can you build it using the show me? Sure. I'll show you how. Let's say I'm in a hurry and I don't have time to like make everything pretty. A lot of times what I'll just do is I'll drag just what I know I need. So like region, subcategory, and I'll just drag sales onto details and profits onto details. Again, details is just kind of a good spot to put stuff if you know you need it but don't want to show it. Now if I go up here and click show me, oh, it actually won't let me do that. Okay, I'll drag it up here. Something ugly like this. Now if I click into that, it will do its best guess of formatting it for me. I think this is what you had originally too. It put subcategories on columns and region onto here. So it just flip-flopped them a little bit, right? Then we need to click this and go entire view. So it might save you some steps here or there, especially if you can't remember for sure how to make it. Like clicking that show me gives you a really good, like if we wanted to make a pie chart later, here's some stuff. We'll actually make this chart later too. Here's a cool little box and whisker. So again, it's a really great tool for if you really have no idea where to start. And then from there, you may want to move some stuff around to make it exactly what you're looking for, but at least gets you going in the general direction. But let me go back to this. Does everyone have at least this so far? Oh, that's fine. I was just showing that just for the heck of it. I'll
Yes.
go ahead and delete that. Cool. The last chart we're going to walk through, and then we'll take a quick break, is going to be my personal favorite, the dual axis chart. So, looks like it'd be hard to build, bars and lines and all sorts of different stuff going on, but it's actually pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and do it. So this one, not a whole lot we can build off of, so we're not going to use our handy friend, the duplicate tab. We're going to go ahead and click our new worksheet.
Just one thing, I just published that heat thing,
Mhm.
and it closed out the Tableau application. Does that make sense?
Um,
I didn't guide with that. Like I just published it and then the app disappeared. I didn't necessarily need to publish it. Does that make sense?
no, it doesn't normally do that. But we opened it up. It should just be right there still. There you go. The benefits of saving.
That's what I'm going to have to do, say.
Yeah. So again, if you guys haven't done it yet, let's take this quick break here. Click save. I hate how it makes you log in. I'm going to call this class 3. Actually, I'm going to call it fall 2025 class. Okay. For this one, we're going to do something a little different just to make it a little bit more sense. We are going to drag category onto our columns instead of region. And then we're going to drag subcategory onto our columns as well. So now we have this nice two-dimensional table. Obviously, ABC is placeholders, but you can see the subcategories roll up to the category. So we have bookcases, chairs, furniture, and table, all under furniture. Here's our different office
Can you
supplies.
share that screen, please? I'm still seeing the.
Oh, my bad. Thank you. It wouldn't be class if that didn't stop updating at least once. Got it now?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. So we just have category and subcategory right here. Subcategories obviously roll up the category, but no dimensions on here yet. So it's actually pretty straightforward. We're going to drag our sales onto our rows, which we've done a million times. We've had multiple dimensions before. We've never had multiple measures, but it's actually exactly the same. So right now we have category, subcategory, and our total sales. Here's our different bar charts for bookcases, chairs, furnishings, and tables, all under furniture, so on and so forth. If I drag another dimension or another measure up here to rows, all it's going to do is just give me another chart, right? Pretty straightforward. Here's our total sales. Here's our total profit. And you can actually take this as far as you want. This isn't like a bad use case for building multiple things all in one view, right? If I dragged discount up here, then I would have 3 charts. I'd have to scroll. But for right now, we're just going to keep it with sum of sales and sum of profit. Now that we have multiple measures on here, if you go over here, our marked little square with our color, our size, our label, you can see that we actually have 3 little tabs in here now. So we have one for all. This is everything on the view, but you can actually control each measure that you bring over. So sum of sales, if I wanted to change just our sales to, let's go green, you can see just this one updates. If I wanted to change the size of my profits, I could click into the size and drag that down. You can see just that one updates. So it gives you a little bit more flexibility to change each measure that you have, even though that they're both shown on the same view and they're both using the same dimensions of category and subcategory. I'll pause for a second here to make sure everyone's all caught up. Don't worry about your the colors. We'll end up changing those anyways.
How did you get like some then sales and then some then profit?
Just drag them over. So I drag sales up to rows, and then I drag profit up to rows. Did you get it? I think your data set is just called orders one or something. I might have two over there. That's why these all say orders one over on the side. But that is
Is that number?
doesn't.
Maybe it's because I mixed it out.
Yeah, I think it's just this is the name of the Excel is called the orders one. It's just shown a little differently, but it does not matter. Okay, so let's take this one step at a time. The good news is we have sales and profits. Now we just want make our profits a line instead of a bar, and then we're going to combine them into one view here. So one step at a time. See how right now we have an axis for sales, 100K, 200K, 300K, and an axis for profits, 0K, 20K, 40K. I want to make that a dual axis, right? The name of this chart is called a dual axis chart. So that's just saying that I want both axes, sales and profits, onto one. I want to have dual axis. So in order to do that, all I have to do is right click into my profit and select dual axis. And it's going to give you another abstract art exhibit. Very pretty. Not what we want, but we'll change it. Let's actually go through what's happening here. So by default, who knows what Tableau thought we wanted to do, but it changed these to circles. It's telling us our sales are orange circles, our profits are blue circles. And you can see they are labeled over the top of each other. But we don't want that, right? We want our sum of sales to be bars, which we know how to do now, right? In our marks, we can go to our sum of sales. And instead of this automatic thing, we're going to change that to a bar. And then we want our sum of profit to be a line. So we're going to click into our sum of profit. We're going to change that from automatic to a line. Now we're starting to get there. And again, you can remember, you can change anything that you want about the sum of sales or sum of profit. So for instance, for the sum of profit, if you want that to be, for instance, profit to be a green line for money, you can do that. If you think the orange is kind of noisy and obnoxious, which I do, you can change the sum of sales, right? That color is going to be, let's do like a basic gray.
The screen is frozen, or we can't see, or I can't see. Oh, now I can. Sorry.
Okay, no worries. The screen freezes all the time, so let me know if it does that. I can update it. Now, we talked last week a lot about how titles can be your best friend. I'm going to show you guys how you can start taking full advantage of some of your titles. So to start, let's just call this, let's rename it profit and sales by category / sub category.
I have another question.
Mhm.
So when you take your view and you publish it, you're not publishing the whole workbook, just the sheet.
It publishes the whole workbook.
I mean, because I have like all of these, so if I had saved one of these.
Yep. So if you have this open, here's publish. So remember, there's by default it only shows whichever one you were on.
Okay.
But if you click in the settings and click show sheets,
Okay.
it will have all 3 tabs right there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as like data ink ratio stuff, we can get rid of this category / subcategory, right? We have that in our title now. So to get rid of that, just right click, hide field labels for columns. Now, I want to get rid of this axis label that says sales and this axis label that says profits. But if I do that, it would be really hard to tell which are the bars sales or profits or the line sales or profits unless you have this little color coded thing here. So the color coded thing works. So let's go ahead and we know how to do this, right? We just double click into our axis and backspace profits. Double click into this and get rid of sales. Yep, if you just double click in your axis here, it should have this little axis title that you can clear out.
I accidentally got rid of the measure names. How do I get that back?
Yep.
Sometimes you have to do repeats. I just get it in the first time.
Oh, that's perfect. That's the entire ethos of this class is a lot of repetition.
Charlie?
Yep.
I accidentally got rid of the measure names. How do you get that back?
Oh, totally fine. So if you got rid of this, it looks like that. There's actually a little, I mentioned this like night 1, but now it'll actually make sense. Tableau gives you some default dimensions and measures that aren't necessarily in your data. The measure names is one of them. So if you just drag that onto colors, it'll update like so.
Okay.
And I'm going to make this my entire view. Now, one last little thing we're going to do, then we'll take our break, is editing titles. So up to this point, all we've really done with titles is whatever we name our sheet is what the title pops up here. But it doesn't actually have to be that way. You can have a title that's independent of what the name of your sheet is. So if I go back, right, this is profit and sales by category, whoops, and subcategory. If I double click into my title, you can see that right here it says little bracket, sheet name bracket. This is just called like a variable. So there's a few different things that you can reference. You don't have to worry about this right now, but if I wanted to have like the username, so whoever opens this, the username would pop up. This is my work laptop, so it's really annoying, but the username pops up there. If I wanted to add in, if it was a story, I could add in like the page number or the page name, and those things could add in there too. Or I can get rid of all this and call it whatever I want. Now you can see that my title is whatever I want, even though my sheet name is profit and sales by category / subcategory. The reason I'm showing you guys this is if I go in here and I type in profit versus sales by category / subcategory. Right. So right now they're named the same thing, but this isn't actually referencing my title of my sheet name. Now I'll be able to go in and I can play with this, right? So my profit is green. Maybe I want to highlight the word profit and make that green. Maybe I want to make it bold. And sales, which is gray, maybe I want to change that to a gray and make that bold. So now I can actually mess around with these individual words for my title, which makes it way more dynamic than just having it be whatever my sheet name is. So now that I had this, I can actually get rid of this little measure name things altogether. Just click this little arrow and click hide card. Now it takes up my full view. I can easily tell that my profits are green, my sales are gray, my categories are right here, my subcategories are right there, and we've actually gotten rid of all the labels on our view just by having a really, really robust title. Yep. So all you need to do is double click into your title and then obviously get rid of, I think by default, it will have sheet name in here in gray. Anytime you see something in brackets and colored gray, you know that's a Tableau variable. And then just call it whatever you want to call it. And then you can just edit individual words by highlighting them. I made this bold, for instance, and I changed the color. You could also underline it if you wanted to really emphasize that these are the colors. Something else I like to do sometimes is if I really want to drive the point home, like this is profit versus sales, I'll actually make another row or another line completely and make my detail like a little bit smaller. So now you can see this is profit versus sales by category / subcategory. As we progress in the course, we're going to do a lot of really provocative things with our titles. So this is just kind of one small piece of it. But we'll clean up the way your views look quite a bit.
So how do you know which dollar amounts go to? Did you get a scale going to 60,000 on the right?
Great question.
Going to 300,000 on the left.
Yep, great question. So the question was,
Intuitively, sales is going to be the bigger one than profits, but they don't like leave it people to guess.
100%. Yep. So this is where I always get in a bad habit of saying the last thing we're going to do, and then we're going to have multiple other things to do. The question was, I can easily see my profit is green now and my sales are gray, but I don't know if this gray bar is 300,000 or 60,000. I don't know if my green bar is 300,000 or 60,000. So one way, obviously, to do that would be to go in here and label them like we had before, but we already decided we don't want to do that. Another way we can do it.
Do that real quick. How'd you do that?
Do what?
Just like the little that you just put.
Oh, if I wanted to label them, I would double click into it and update the title down here. That's how we have been getting rid of them up to this point, but obviously you can add stuff back in as well. Another thing you could do that we're going to do for this example is just remove the need to have two. So if they're both just going on the same axis, if this one was negative 100K to 300K and this one was negative 100K to 300K, then we wouldn't need two altogether, right? So obviously there's some instances where this wouldn't work. If this was like 0 to 1, if it was like a percentage, then putting them on the same axis label would make it look really ugly. But for this one, they're close enough that I can just right click on the one on the right and just click synchronize axis.
Is there any way you can try to refresh the screen? It's been frozen for quite some time now.
Hate that.
Oh, maybe it'll come back.
But that doesn't make a lot of sense because they're exactly the same, so why?
Yep. So then that are exactly the
Thank
same.
you.
Yep. So all I did was I right clicked on the one on the right and I clicked synchronize axis, which would make them exactly the same. And then now that I have the same axis twice, I can get rid of one of them. So I just right click into this again and uncheck show header. So now I only have one axis, negative 100K to 300K. Profit is my green line here. Again, I'll make it big so you can see some of the differences. Sales are my gray bars. And I have one axis for both of them right here. Now, this is a class example, right? If these green lines, like I said, were 0 to 1, then the line across the bottom would essentially just be a flat line. This would be a horrible use case for this. Then I probably would want two different axes so I could show the charts. In that case, I would have to label both of them so that you can understand the difference between the two. There's some other, we'll wait for like 6 or 7, night 6 or 7. There's some other things that we could do. But for the sake of this example, let's quit while we're ahead right here. Does everyone have this? Let me know if you don't. I can come around, or
Yes.
people virtually. I can. We can share your screen and do whatever we got to do.
Jesus.
You guys in class have this? Good. Celeste, are you good?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, sweet. Let's take a 10-minute break. Let's be back here at 7:23, and we will get into kind of the second section here. So 10-minute break, be back at 7:23 p.m. Turn on the lights so we don't trip and fall. I don't know if I have workers' comp, so I don't want any injuries while I'm here.
Okay.
If I do have workers' comp, then trip and fall all you want. Yeah, me too.
Is there a restroom up here? Or is
Yes. It's right by, the stairs where you come up. It's just on the other side of that wall. Do you got to get out of here?
No, I'm coming back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Somebody not gonna change how colors on the chart.
If you wanted to, you just want to make sure that you're clicked into the color over here. And then you should be able to click sales and make it blue, or profit and make it purple or whatever.
I know, that's why.
Yeah.
I went to edit and what I was doing is touching the blockage.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Trying to get okay.
Yeah.
I missed the step. Okay. Get it now.
Whoops. All right, let's go ahead and get going. Hopefully Celeste comes back soon. All right, I'm going to kind of breeze over these next two chart types because I've never made them, nor do you ever need to. And then I want to spend the majority of the rest of our time talking about pie charts, maybe the most controversial chart in data viz. So the first is a tree map. This is something that, again, I don't think I've ever made from scratch. If you ever want to, the best way to do it is you don't need to follow along with this point. Just build a basic table and then click into show me and click the little tree map button right here. Voila, builds you a pretty little thing. It's basically an uglier version of a pie chart. So you can show a lot of data all in one. It's easy to approximate parts of a whole. So for instance, you can see like copiers make up a majority of our profits or whatever I'm showing right here. But obviously this is horrible from a data ink ratio. The color and the size are both kind of showing the same thing here. The other annoying thing is if you have negative values, like here you can see tables are negative 18,000 in profit. Well, you can't take up negative space. So it actually is kind of an incorrect showing of something like this as well too. So I'm sure there's a use case out there somewhere. I've never found one. And so we're not going to cover it. But again, best way to do it is just build a table, then click the show me on the tree map. All you missed is I said tree maps are ugly and we're not going to build them. The second one that we'll actually cover in a later class because it's a little complicated for tonight is something called a Gantt bar chart. So it's actually a really helpful chart type if you know when to use it, but the use cases are pretty limited. So I'll show you a real world example. This is actually straight from Builder Trends product, the company I work at, the product that we build. It's a Gantt bar chart is really, really good for like project management timelines. So here you can see this is all the phases of building a house, right? You do your framing, then you frame the roof, then you do your plumbing, then you install the windows. And each one of these items takes a certain length of time, and then you move on to the next one. So here you can see this is your date. Here's your different weeks.
Can you refresh the screen, please? Thank
Oh,
you.
yep. Thank you. So a Gantt bar is really just a way of showing kind of project management, how long one individual thing takes. The length of the bar is just how many days it takes. And then each kind of thing on your rows here is a new thing. So you can see the electrical rough in or whatever starts here. It goes from Saturday, May 12th, all the way through May 17th. And then you can't do this in Tableau, but in Builder Trend, it actually shows when some things start, other things, or when some things end, other things start, and it kind of progresses your way down. So for the example we'll do in class, again, not tonight, is here's individual orders, and we'll show when someone orders something and when it actually ships. So like first class stuff goes a little bit quicker than standard class stuff, which goes a little bit longer. But again, we'll build this a different time. So it is a cool data viz. The only time you'll ever really need to use it is when you're showing when something starts and when something ends from a date perspective, and you have a lot of different things all at once. Any questions about either tree maps or Gantt bar charts? Cool. My favorite topic that we talk about, pie charts. So this is like the age-old debate on are pie charts good or bad? If you just Google that, like there'll be like hundreds of thousands, if not millions of different articles talk about why you shouldn't use pie charts. Pie charts are the worst. What do you mean I'm not supposed to use pie charts? The issue with pie charts, don't use pie charts. Why pie charts are evil, which is like pretty extreme in my opinion. I feel like they get picked on a lot. I feel like everyone who thinks they're cool and like just took a data viz course for the first time, like this, immediately has the opinion that pie charts are bad. I actually think They're misunderstood, is what I'll say. So hashtag justice for pie charts. They do have advantages. Knowing what your data looks like and what you're trying to show makes all the difference. So we'll cover a few rule of thumbs tonight, but it's really just a case-by-case basis. If you guys have ever seen How I Met Your Mother, it's one of my favorite shows of all time. Marshall gets really into charts. Actually, he gets really into, I think they got a sign printer at his work, and so he's really into printing different signs and charts. I've never related to something more because that was something I would do. So he has a pie chart describing his favorite bars and a bar chart describing his favorite pies. That's something that you guys can do for your homework if you wanted to. For the record, both of his data vizzes are really ugly, but we won't cover that right now. So let's start with why not to use pie charts. It's really, really tough to show more than, let's say, 3 to 5 different things at a time. So for here, we have 1, 2, and funny enough, this is actually built using Tableau Superstore data. You guys will start to see that everywhere now that you've used it before. So, right, sales by product subcategories. We literally just built that. But right, you can't really tell what these individual, you can see the first 3 or 4, right? This one is purple, it's printers. This one's that little sea foam, it's bookcases. Then you have, I can't even read what that is. Right, but after that, it gets really, really complicated. It's tough to tell what category it's referencing and also like how big it is. So anytime you get more than 3 to 5 categories, it's really hard to show at a glance. It's also really, really hard to see what the number is showing. So there's limited precision. Obviously, it's an area-based representation, and you're trying to show, parts of the whole. But it's really hard for someone to approximate that. So unless you bring in your labels here, like they did here, and you can see exactly how many sales and what percentage they're showing, it's tough to tell that this one's 4.3 and that one's 3.9 without having those labels there. So again, tough to differentiate what the different categories are and tough to show what the actual values of those categories are.
But lay people really like that, then,
What people do?
pie charts,
Who does?
lay people.
Lay people, yeah. There are good times. Trust me, I'm starting with why not to. I'm going to make I love pie charts. It's a hot take. I'm going to go through when to use them too. And the last thing is ambiguity in size and orientation. So a lot of times, for instance, my good friend Marshall right here, you can see that he made a 3D pie chart. People on the Weather Channel love to use 3D pie charts. It's really tough. Once you start tilting them, the angles get all messed up. It's just bad, bad, bad. This would actually be a pretty good example of when to will use one if they weren't tilted like that. So now, why to use pie charts? 2 primary use cases. You want your audience to have a general sense of parts of the whole, and you want to compare precise sizes, or in comparing the precise sizes of the slices are less important. I'll go through an example here in a second. Or if you want to convey one segment of the total is relatively large or small. So what do I mean by that? Parts of the whole. If I want to show that something is about 25%, or something is about 50%, or something is about 75%, pie charts are actually great for that. This is actually the exact same data both ways. So let's just say that the data goes up to 100, right? This bar is 75 and this bar is 25. But using a bar chart, it's really tough to tell that both of these things are parts of the whole. They add up to 100. In fact, if I was just looking at this, I would maybe guess that this one's like as third as big as this one, because it is, right? It's 25. This one is 25, 50, 75. But this makes it really clearly, you can see this is 25%. If I had a specific category that I wanted to show made up 25%, it's easy. Everyone has the clock frame of reference. They have the pie, the cake frame of reference. So if you just want to show that this is a general sense of a whole thing, pie charts are great. So if I wanted to show all my sales, for instance, and show that one category makes up about 25%, that would be a great use case for this. Now, if I wanted to show all of my subcategories, we have like 40 some, and they're all about the same size, it would get really, really confusing, and that would probably be a bad example. The other when to use pie charts is to show that one segment is relatively small or relatively large. So if I was showing that our printers or whatever, look, makes up this whole almost half, right? That's the level of granularity, the level of detail we can get into. I don't know exactly how big this is, maybe like 40% or so, but it doesn't matter. That's not what I'm trying to show. I'm trying to show that here's all of our sales. This huge chunk just comes from one thing. Or maybe I was getting ready to fire our printer salesman or something. I'm like, hey, look, man, here's all of our sales. Printers only make up this little tiny bit of it. It just does. We can't justify the cost anymore. So parts of a whole, this is about 25%. This is about 50%, whatever. And relatively small or relatively large are both fantastic use cases for pie charts. So why is this specific example good?
It's only got 3.
Only has 3. Yep. And what?
It gives the detail.
With 3, I can easily label it. Yep.
Clearly shows the largest category and the smallest.
Yep. Technology and office supplies. Again, with 3, I can see, hey, technology makes up about half. Office supplies is a little under half. And furniture is just a tiny little bit there. All of our profits come from 3 categories, right? The entirety of our profits, just these 3. Technology makes up about half. Furniture only makes up small. Those are easy things that you can tell right away. Here's versus a bar chart, right? If I was trying to show all of these, and profits here is kind of a bad example because they go negative. But I can't tell that this is all of our sales, right? Some are going this way, some are going that way. I don't know what they're adding up to. Here I can show these are all of our sales. Now this is kind of a bad example, so I probably wouldn't want to show something like this because again, there's too many lines. Some of them aren't labeled, I can't see. But if I wanted to say, hey, half of our profits come from 4 categories, copiers, phones, accessories, paper, that's a great example there. So let's go ahead, #justice for pie charts. Let's go ahead and make one. So let's open our Tableau public back open and start a new worksheet. Now I'm going to show you guys 2 ways to make a pie chart. The first way, the easy way, the way I do it, and then the lame, boring manual way, which is the way you should probably do it. So how I do it typically is I drag my sales onto rows. I just get one big bar here. And then I drag my category onto color. And I have this stacked bar. And then I just go to our good friend Show Me and click the pie chart. And voila, it's there. Now, if you wanted to make it from scratch,
Can you just go back one step? I'm so sorry. The screen was frozen and I didn't catch.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Sum of sales goes on rows.
Yep, I just drag sales onto rows.
And category on colors.
Oops. And then category onto colors. And then I just went to Show Me and clicked pie chart. Now, the reason I always do that, 1, it's just easy. 2, it's just the habit I've gotten into. But for the sake of learning, I'm going to go ahead and start a new sheet. You guys don't have to follow along with this if you don't want. By default, up to this point in the class, through almost 3 full nights, color, size, text, details, and tooltips have been the only things on our marks tab. And it's been really the only thing that we've needed. If I change this from automatic down here to pie, voila, you get a new option in our marks called angle, which again, we haven't referenced once up to this point. If you wanted to make a pie chart the manual way, you'd have to click into pie like I just did, then drag sales onto angle, and then drag category onto color. So again, I don't know. when I was first learning, it must have been the first time I ever made a pie chart. I didn't know that you had to click into pie chart and then you get this little angle option. So I just learned by doing it through the show me. But
Yeah, I was gonna figure out you can go backwards.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
like do the show me and then see how it gets populated. That's actually a great way to learn.
Yeah.
If you click in here and you're like, oh, I really want to learn how to make, for instance, I skipped the tree map example. I didn't show you guys how to make that. Maybe I click that and it shows you, oh, this is where you need to drag stuff. Now, when would we want to use this? What would be some findings we could tell from this pie chart?
Sales are relatively distributed.
Relatively equal.
Business.
That's one takeaway. There's probably one more.
If you had like a type of printer, you had 3 types of printers, like you could say, how many of the printers, how many of the laser printers, how many of the.
Oh yeah, for sure. You could break it down even further. The other big takeaway I get from this is all of our sales come from these 3 categories. They all come from this, and they're all about 33%, right? Now I can hover, I can get the detail. I also, since we only have 3 categories, we can afford some space to put some more detail in here. So let's just go ahead and drag sales onto our label as well. Now, if yours looks ugly like this, again, might be a good time to change it from standard to entire view. It'll center it, take up all the space. Another thing I like to do on my pie charts when I have the labels on there, just to make it a little bit more cohesive, is change the color of my labels to the color of the area it's representing. So to do that, you just have to click into label, and there's a little, if you click into font, match mark color.
Can you do that again?
Yep. So click into label, font. Obviously, you can change what kind of font you're working with. You can bold, italicize, underline, make it bigger. Maybe we will go ahead and bold it, just make them stand out a little more. But then I clicked match mark color.
So how did you shorten those numbers to?
Oh yeah, that was, we changed the number format. So we clicked this arrow under sales, default properties, number format, and then change that to custom.
Like distinguishing between when you right click on something, when you click on the label or the 2, or if you click over there on the table.
I think this one actually works either way. You can click the little arrow key, or you can right click it and you'll get the same options.
Okay, so I'm clicking on sales, and then you do which?
Default properties, number format.
That is the same answer.
Oh, you're fine. All right, I'm going to show you guys one more thing. I think this is actually the last thing. I know I have a bad habit of saying that.
I am so very sorry. I missed it. Froze again. How did you do the numbers to match the color again? I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're totally fine. Don't apologize for the bad Wi-Fi here. Click label, and then under font, there's an option to match mark color.
And you have to have the sales under the tables highlighted?
You just have to make sure sales is on your label, and then all you have to do is just click label.
Oh, it's all okay, but I don't know why it was not. I tried that and it didn't work. Let me try again.
The good news is that we have a couple of weeks of this, so yeah, we'll figure it out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We'll answer the same questions and do the same thing hundreds of times by the end of this. No worries at all. Yeah, I'm lucky I get to stand up here. 3 hours of sitting gets a little old.
Yeah, weird. I don't. It's not working right.
Do you have sales on your label.
Yeah, so underneath my marks, I've got category with the colors, sum with the pie, with the angle, and then I have sums with the little T for label.
Yep.
when
And
I
are you
click-
seeing it on your chart?
I see the labels, but I see them in black.
Okay.
When I hit the down arrow,
No. Just click label right here.
mark to label.
So instead of clicking on the little green pill,
Yeah.
you'll actually click on the square that says label.
Yep.
And do you get this little pop-up?
Yes.
And then if you click this drop down.
Oh, under the font. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're
London.
totally fine. Totally fine. And then yeah, just match mark color.
Okay. So thank you.
Okay, we're gonna get a little advanced here. This I don't think we cover this, and actually I think we'll cover this Wednesday. So this will be a nice sneak peek. Let's say I actually want to show the percentage as well. So I can see this is 832, this is 742, this is 719. I know they're probably about 33% just from the way it looks. But if I want to actually know what the exact percentage is, we can drag sales onto our details. Remember, details is always a good spot just to toss stuff you want to see in your tooltip, even though you don't want to see it on your chart. And now we actually have 3 sum of sales on here. So let's cover them all one by one so we don't get confused. The one with this little slice of pie or slice of cake, whatever you want to call it, sum of sales, that's what's dictating the angles these are at. The one with the T is our label. That's what we're showing here. And then the one with the 3 dots, that's the one we just added. Currently isn't doing anything because we already have our sum of sales in there. However, and again, we'll do 3 hours of this on Wednesday, so no worries if you get a little confused. There's this option for a quick table calculation. And we're just going to choose percent of total. Now it's telling us it's a really ugly label, but this is 36.399%. This is 32.3%. This is 31.301%. Now, again, it's in our details, so it's just kind of in the background. We can see it in our tooltip. If we wanted to show that on our label, instead of the little 3 dots here, you can just click those and choose label. It pops up. Or you could just drag it onto label as well too, whatever you wanted to do. And now we have both there.
Can you do the percentage again? The screen is frozen again.
Yep.
Sorry.
I'm going to do it from the start because there's a few different things here. Oops, wrong one. So we have something like this. We want to get the percentage in here too. So we drag sales onto details.
That's still not working.
That's just kind of keeping it in the background. It's not changing anything yet. But now in the one with the 3 little dots, the details, if we click this arrow and choose quick table calculation.
It's still frozen.
Still frozen. We can't.
Thank you guys. So we drug our sales on the detail. We clicked the arrow on the new one that we just drug, the one with the 3 dots here. And we choose quick table calculation, percent of total. Now, when we hover, it shows percent of total sales, a long table across. You don't need to worry about that. We'll learn how to clean that up. We see this is 36. This is 32. This is 31%.
Get rid of it. Is your house going to the second time? This doesn't happen. So if everyone needed to think about
You moved yours to, and I did that once. So it's not something. What you did, which I did as well. Remember, we clicked here on the choose table, and it will show it. But if we don't want to show it, we'll do the background. What was that? If you wanted to change it, so right now it's just in your tooltip, it's on the detail. If you wanted to show it, all you need to do is click those three dots right there, and then choose label. Yeah.
I thought you said 3 little dots. You walking back through and I was like, oh, you did
Yeah, I know.
one last step.
Yeah. Okay, let's do one more just for practice with the pie chart because we went through a lot there. So let's go ahead and click new worksheet.
Mhm.
And let's do just for the sake of practice, let's do it the manual way instead of the show me way. So we'll change this from automatic to pie. And that will give us our new little angle option. Then we can drag our sales onto our new little angle option. Yep.
Oh, there we go.
Now this time maybe let's break it out by shipping mode. So we'll drag ship mode onto color. So this is actually another great example. We can see well over half of our total sales just to choose standard class.
Mhm.
Sum of sales onto angle?
Yep.
That's intuitive usually.
No, it's not. That's why I learned how to do it just by doing the show me. But you guys have an opportunity to learn how to do it the right way, not fall into my bad habits. Yeah. There you go. And then again, if you want to center it, you just do entire view. If you want to label it, you just drag sum of sales onto your label. And then if you want to show those percentages, it's just sum of sales on a detail. Then on your details, you'll drop down and do quick table calc percent of total.
Look at this. You freaking free. I said, no, the H never officer. I'm not.
Cool. Let's take this opportunity to save.
Can you, one more time, walk through how we changed the color to match?
Oh yeah, great question. I did skip that.
Twice, now I know.
No, that's fine.
Forgot where that was.
Yep, it is kind of hidden
Label.
because you would think it's in color,
Not
but it's not.
match
Yep,
mark color.
it's in label. And you can change all sorts of stuff. Like there's all sorts of different fonts here.
Just run through how you did this table, because I look at this, but I haven't.
Okay, you just need sum of sales on your angle.
Okay. I want that
So
angle.
anytime, yeah,
All right.
anytime you're stuck, these marks take like the label of these marks boxes are pretty intuitive. So like if you have something that looks like this, it's like, okay, what am I currently missing? Well, the angle of these different, the color is correct. I have 4 different colors for my 4 different category or shipping mode, but the angle of each section is not correct. I want the angle to be based off of my sales. So I'll drag my sales here. And then the question in the class was, how did you get these colors of the labels? Again, that's in label, font, match mark color. I always like to bold them too, for what it's worth. So for the percentage, you just need to drag your sum of sales onto your detail. And then you'll click this arrow and do quick table calc percent of total. And that'll be in your tooltip. And if you wanted it on the label, you just have to drag it up to label or click this little button and change it to label.
I have 4 summers, so.
Yeah. You can never run sales, right? Yeah. So then that one, the one you're on. Do not, you guys have to remember, I've been doing this all day, every day for 8 years. So a lot of these things come naturally to me. Not all of it is super intuitive, which is why we try to go through a lot of examples in class, then do a couple more examples in the homework. And we do it 8 different nights throughout the course of the semester. Like I promise by night 8, a lot of these little button here, a little drop down here, a little right click there, a little double click there. You'll start getting the hang of it. So just stick with it. We'll keep practicing, keep asking questions, and you guys will be pros at no time. So definitely make sure to save. And like I said, I am going to have to dip out here tonight, unfortunately. The homework is pretty much same old that we've done up to this point. Find a new data set only if you want. If you guys have found one up to this point that you kind of like, you're interested in, you want to keep working with it, or you just like don't want to waste time finding data. If you want to spend your time building charts, totally fine too. Bring it into Tableau. And then let's, obviously we didn't cover this and the tree map. We didn't cover that either, which is fine. We didn't get to the donut chart, but that's also fine. So build at least 3 of these. The text table, highlight table are pretty much the same. So that's an easy 2 right there. So really you were just talking, try to build at least one of these, either a heat map, a dual axis, or a pie chart. Again, you have to build 3. I would for sure build these 2 since they're pretty much the same. And then just at least one of these. But if you want to go above and beyond, no need to mess around with these. You can just build these 3 if you wanted to. Publish to Tableau Public, shoot me the link, and then come prepared to walk through on Wednesday. Yep. Sorry, one of you guys have a question?
I get it.
Yeah.
So text table, highlight table are the first ones that we actually did.
Yep.
So you're saying just create our own.
Exactly.
Where will we get the data?
Either the same data set that you used from Wednesday or Tableau Public if you want to find a new one.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions? Good stuff. We're getting there. Every week, hopefully you're picking up 1 or 2 more things. We'll just keep building. Again, apologize. I have to leave early tonight. I do think these 3 are 3 that are really, really good to practice and kind of get the hang of. So if you guys want to go home and knock them out tonight, great. I will be, it takes me like half an hour to get home once I pick up my wife. So I'll be available on Slack if you have questions. I'm available all day tomorrow. And then again, I'll be in here at 5:30 on Wednesday if you want to come in. I'll make sure to send the Slack link to join class right at 5:30. So people virtually, if you have questions as well, I'll be available. Really, really sorry I have to leave. Please do not skip this homework. The practice, it's what solidifies what we've learned. So thank you guys very much. If you have any further questions, Slack me. Otherwise, everyone have a fantastic night.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Great.
Night.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Bye, guys.